Okay, Mars freaks and space geeks, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV, and today I'm going to be showing you this set of images from the Curiosity Rover. This is Sol 4213, and this has been enlarged 40% just to make it easier to zoom into. This has been brightened up a bit, this set of images, and we have over here, we have this sandstone block, which looks like it's been cut. So this is a masonry block, which has kind of got a squarish appearance, and on it we have some glyphs. And what's cool about this is that you can actually see the chisel marks in the rock here with these letters. We got 3 there and we got another one here. But if you take a clip of this and brighten it up even more, this has already been brightened up a little bit, then you will get this result, which I've gone up here, which is an enhanced clip. There's the raw clip there. So you can see it's actually pretty clear in the raw clip. If I show, I'll go back and show you the magnifier. This has been colorized. When you colorize these, it can brighten up the detail if you don't go too dark with the color. It can actually make you see things better sometimes, depending on what we're actually looking at and on the shadows and on the lighting, obviously. Okay, but we have here a stone block, which is about 1 foot or so tall, maybe 2. It's somewhere between 1 foot and 2 foot in size. We're actually on what I named Dragon Ridge here, which I've done a whole bunch of videos on recently. This is the center part of Dragon Ridge, or what I named Dragon Ridge. And there's loads of weird things that I've shown along here in the last month or so. As many of you would have seen, there is the entrance, the secret entrance, and there's a sculpture of a dragon not far from here, literally within about 50 feet or 100 feet of this thing, okay? So there's other evidence in this area proving that this was inhabited, and this part of Mars in Gale Crater is absolutely rammed with evidence, archaeological evidence of a past civilization, okay? So that's undisputable, I think. The amount of evidence I've shown for this is way more than you would need to prove such a thing because of the sheer volume of evidence. We have a block with letters on it, one that's a bit like an S there, a bit like a C, and a bit like a sort of B or something. There's a P-shaped one there. But of course, letters on Mars probably don't represent anything like the ones in our alphabets. We have many, many alphabets on Earth, and they differ quite radically, some of them, different languages and alphabets on Earth. So I would imagine a similar thing on Mars. They may have had different languages going through the different eras or epochs on Mars, and different civilizations with more advanced or less advanced writing and art and architecture, okay? So this may be fairly primitive. And even in the black and white raw clip there, this is completely raw, this clip. You can see those letters there. I'll go a bit closer. You can see them pretty clearly. I don't know what it means. It's impossible to say what that would mean or what it actually represents. But you can see them. There's a P-like one there. There's another letter there, another one here. There's 3 or 4 there you can see quite clearly. And they're done in a sort of dot matrix style. You can actually see the chisel marks where you get little divots chiseled into the rock in a pattern making letters. I mean, it's the simplest way to carve letters is with a metal chisel and a hammer, okay? I mean, that's how you do it. You literally just chip away until you get the shapes you require, okay? And interesting, if you look underneath, we've got a row of sort of dots underneath here and another row there. And there seem to be some symbols up here, but it's all kind of broken at the top. There's something at the top there, okay? So you can see all that in the raw image, and it's pretty clear in the actual Gigapan itself. I didn't over brighten the Gigapan because there's lots of very light material here. And when you brighten it up too much, this goes very garish and bright. You've got a lot of this light coloured reflective stuff on the ground. So you can see it pretty well there. I'll go back a little bit. If you go back, it actually sharpens the image slightly, and then use a magnifier, and you can see them pretty clearly there. Okay. There's not much else in this Gigapan, but interestingly enough, when I shared this image on Facebook a few days ago, this is what happened. I was given a strike by Facebook. I shared it 3 times. I shared it on my own group and 2 other Mars groups, which I help manage. In fact, I manage a whole bunch of groups, about 10 or 15, I think it is now. Most of the Mars groups, but also I help manage UFO groups as well. And I have been doing this for many years. And I help adjudicate and admin a lot of these groups on Facebook. Okay. And even though I'm an admin, I shared it on exclusive Mars images, and I was given a strike, and the image was removed. And this is the clip that I took of what Facebook told me. Okay, we removed your post. This is why it happened. It looks like you tried to get likes, follows, shares, or video views in a misleading way, which is absolute nonsense. Basically, I was sharing a Mars image to other Mars groups, right? And only 2 other groups. 3, including mine. Now, the image is still up on my group, but it's been taken down from those other 2 groups. I actually had 2 of these. And when you click on the information thing here, like how we made the actual decision, it says that it actually says AI has decided to remove your post because it thinks that it goes against community standards, whatever those standards are, which we never seem to know. So AI doesn't like this image, okay? AI is telling me that it doesn't want me to share it. Now that's interesting, I think. I'm not sure if it's because it's actual glyphs and that the AI picked the glyphs up as saying something or so, I don't know, probably not. But it's an interesting concept to think whether the AI could actually read some of this stuff, right? Now, I did say in a video about a year or 2 ago that I thought that AI may have taken over some of the computer systems on Earth, alien AI, and that when we went to 67p comet, we sent a mission there, which took many years to get there. And when we got there, we got to 67p and picked up some strange signals. And that got me thinking, because I actually recorded these signals, and not long after that, my computer crashed. And completely, my hard drive was wrecked. I was under a lot of attack at the time. I was getting lots of troll attacks, and I was getting targeted, and I was getting hacked as well. But I do wonder whether it's possible that the signal that was recorded from 67p may have contained some kind of viral code that may have infected Earth's central computer systems and defense computer systems via the ship that went to go and intercept 67p, right? It would then send the recordings back to Earth and send all the information back, including all the pictures and everything else. But also that recording was then put on the NASA website, and I made a video of it. Since that actual time, which was around 2015, 16, I think, things on Earth have gone pretty haywire. I'm not saying that's necessarily what's happened. I'm just saying theoretically that could happen. And it looks like with what's going on around the world, some of the things that have been happening in the last few years look like they're being controlled or directed by some off-Earth kind of intelligence, which is trying to terraform Earth and destroy the population. That's what it looks like. We're in the early stages of. A scary concept, I know. I can't prove it. It's just a theory. But other scientists have theorized similar things. And I did present this idea as a theory when I did those videos on 67p. It is a possibility that some of our craft up in space that are looking at some of these objects and bodies out there in space may have picked up some kind of AI viral code, which is then being sent to Earth inadvertently and infected our intelligence networks, our defense networks, and has gotten into the whole computer master system of Earth. That is possible. Okay, bear that in mind. But can AI read this? I doubt it. AI is only as good as the information it can lift from the internet. Okay, and a lot of the information on the internet is utter garbage. So there's so much rubbish on the internet now. It's being flooded with fake stuff. You get a lot of fake Mars channels posting fake rubbish. This is purely done to screw up the information and poison the well. Okay, here's a full screen shot of that. Okay, pretty clear. I mean, this is one of the clearest examples. I was really pleased with this when I found it because I've shown quite a lot of this stuff before, a lot of things that look like glyphs on Mars. And this is one of the best examples, I would say, in recent years. Really clear. But there's no way we can actually possibly work out what it means. We don't have a Rosetta Stone. We don't have one of those. Now, interestingly enough, the mission that went to intercept 67P was called Rosetta, the Rosetta mission. Okay, and it was sent by the European Space Agency. Okay, so a lot of you will remember that because it took some amazing photos of that comet, and there are weird things above and around the comet, like the UFOs and stuff there as well, which I showed. There are strange things on the comet, like buildings, what look like towers and things like that, ruins as well, which are very odd. And there were UFOs and a signal that was intercepted and recorded. They said the signal was caused by the actual gases escaping from the comet as they were boiling away from the sunlight, causing some of the gases to escape the porous rock on the comet, which may be the case. But when I actually recorded it and listened back to it and slowed it down, I took it to a recording studio where I was working at the time, and we sort of slowed it down, and it does seem like some of that sequence is intelligent rather than just random. At least that's what it appeared to be when we looked at it on the computer and broke it down into notes and stuff. Okay, there were sequences in it which sounded intelligent, like musical scales. Okay, so there we are. That's my theory. I actually spoke about this on a Channel 5 documentary years ago as well. Here's a negative of that. If I zoom back a bit, you can actually see it in negative there. And then I'll go back a bit with that. It helps if you don't zoom right in and go back a little, just like this. You can see it pretty well. There's this one. This was the Perseverance rover, Sol 145. I showed this years ago, back in 21. And a very odd shaped rock with a very odd shaped sort of triangular piece stuck to it with something on it, and some very angular glyphs carved into it here. Okay, this is the raw one at the bottom. You can see that in the raw image here. If I zoom in a bit, you can see those patterns, not very clearly, but when you add contrast, like I've done here, you can see the patterns and shapes in here. This is almost like an emblem, like a logo or something. It's very interesting. Much more angular than some of the others that I've shown. And these may be numbers. It looks like a set of numbers or something. Something anyway. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it represents. Absolutely no idea. I've been studying these things for many years and I still haven't found enough of this yet to actually come to any huge conclusion about what these things are and what they mean, what these letters are or numbers or whatever. But I have shown many examples, and some of them going right back, like this one that was found by Monty Williams. Check out his channel, by the way, on YouTube. He's got a very good channel with some really cool finds, actually, and he does quite a comedic take on some of these things. Very funny guy. So credit to Monty Williams. 2014, that's 10 years ago. It's just under 10 years since August 2014. And this is one of the best examples. This is a recent one, clip that I took of it, and what I did is I redid the Gigapan, and I cleaned up the images much better and ended the Gigapan from scratch and got a clearer result than before, because some of these images are quite badly compressed. And when you zoom in, they just kind of break up and look really nasty. But this one is basically the cleanest one I managed to do. And I'll flip it to negative for you. There we are. Look at that. I've shown this a load of times. I've done about 3 or 4 videos showing this before, but it's still, I think, one of the best finds ever. And so early on, not long after the rover actually landed on Mars. Okay? So there we are. There was that one. There's this one here. This isn't very clear. You can see them here. They're very fine, these are. And there's a row of letters here, and then another row here at the top. And what I'll do is I'll flip it to negative. You might be able to see those there, but they're not very clear. There's some circular ones here, and some more angular ones at the top here. So not very clear, that one. This is what we get. The problem is some of these things are so ancient and eroded, many, many thousands of years old. Some of them maybe 500,000 years old. It's hard to see what the shapes are because they're so worn by the wind. But then we have things like this. I'll go back a bit. This is from Sol 1367, Curiosity Rover. I found this years ago, 2016. And I actually redid this clip recently. I've been going through a lot of the older stuff recently and redoing it in 4K, a lot of this stuff. And this is a nice example of what looks like gold lettering on the side of this kind of slab here in Gale Crater. And there it is. Look at that. What looks like an R, an A, an S, and another A weird kind of thing there. I'm not saying that's what they are, they just resemble those letters. And this looks like gold or tin or some kind of metal on the side of this slab here. And when you look at, there's actual negative there. I'll flip the whole thing negative, actually. You can't see it very well. You've got to darken it to do that. Okay. But you can see that there. Okay. So if I go back, you can see it better. See that? Now, the weird thing is, in this particular area, there's lots of these slabs with this what looks like tin or gold on the side and on top. So this may actually just be a natural formation. I don't know. But they do look like letters, some of them. Okay? So who knows if that is actually glyphs there. And there seems to be sort of, it's almost like a pictogram. The one on the end here, the fourth one there, has a kind of animalistic shape. Okay, so perhaps they had some of their letters were based on animals, like some of ours are, like letter S, for instance, which is based on the snake. Okay, maybe that's true on Mars as well, because they did have very similar animals to us. At least some of them were similar. Some of them were very different. This isn't very clear. This is Perseverance Rover Sol 385. And I've done a bunch of clips of it here. That's the raw one, top left. You can kind of see it in there. These are negatives at the bottom. Very unclear, but it does look like a row of letters, a smaller row and a bigger row here, another bigger row there with numbers. Got like a 2 and a 5 there and stuff like that. At least that's what they look like. I'll flip that to negative. You can see it in the black and white one down here on the bottom left slightly better. But this is another example of extremely weathered surfaces that are many, many thousands of years old. You're never going to see great detail. If the sun was or the camera was at a different angle and the shadows were better, this would have been probably quite clear. But depending on the angle of the sun and the time of day, it can really change what you're looking at on the surface, and things can be hidden by lack of shadow. In Gale Crater, particularly where this is, is near the lake bed. I think some of these markers may have been grave markers, but some may have been boat moorings because Gale Crater, at least the parts I've shown, some of it was a lake, and I think there were boats on it. And in some areas, we often see post like structures which look like the sort of thing you would throw a rope over. And some of these other people have found as well with numbers on. Okay. So they may have been moorings on a dock side. This is SOL 153. This is the Perseverance rover. This is quite an old set of images. And along the back here, we have some rocks with glyphs on here. We've got this one here, right? And we also have this one here, which is a negative of 1, with a row of glyphs at the top here. And about 4 or 5 rows there. 1, 2, 3, 4, but also not very clear. This is another example of lettering that would show up better if the lighting was different. Here's the actual rock. And if you look at the rock here, you can just about make those out. They're very vague. So you had to take clips of these and crank the contrast and maybe flick to negative like I just showed you. This is that strange shaped marker or boulder, and it's got letters going across it that way in a sort of diagonal, and they look similar to some of our letters, like an X, a 9, an E and an S, just there. Not very clear, but in the negative you can see them just there. Okay, I'll go back a bit. If you go back, you can see these things better sometimes. Okay, just there. There are many examples of this I've shown over the years. This is just some of them. I've got about 20 or 30 examples in my Mars Glyphs playlist, okay? So I'll put that at the end of this video. The card links at the end. You'll be able to click on that, and there's a whole playlist full of Mars Glyphs. Some of them are huge and are 40, 50 feet tall, but most of them are on rocks, which look like grave markers, possible moorings and things like that, and on ancient buried ruins which are partially exposed. Okay, and that's what I think we have here. I think this here was probably a set of structures here. This is Jezero crater, and there's loads of crazy stuff in this one, in SOL 153, including statues and things as well, like we got here, like this guy. Just here, look at this. Unbelievable, right? And he's got a white beard. Mars Science Laboratory, a clear set of glyphs on a piece of cut sandstone right there. Okay, check it out. Follow the links below. Check out the Gigapans. Please like and share on social media if you can. Check me out on Twitter at ArtAlienTV on Twitter. Check me out on Rumble. Give me a follow on Rumble, ArtAlienTV 6 on Rumble. Okay. It seems that the AI bots on Facebook didn't like this image for some reason, and they blocked it, even though I only shared it 2 or 3 times to Mars groups. So what does AI actually know about these images, and what's it know about possible alien text or writing that we don't know? That's the question. Especially if what my theory is correct, that AI is actually partially alien in origin, or at least has been infected. Is that possible? I think it is. We've been sending stuff out into space for many, many years. We have probes that have been in deep space now for decades and decades and decades, going right back, and are right out on the edge of known space. So they may have picked stuff up and sent it back. Thanks for watching. Clips coming up now.